Hello, good morning and good afternoon to our attendees. Welcome to our masterclass. Our session today is on making same-day credit decisions using AI. And we have with us our masterclass speaker, John Salick. John is a strategic advisor at EMAGIA Corporation. I'd like to invite John to take through the masterclass for today.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome on credit risk management, how it's changed, and how it's changed pretty rapidly over the last couple of years, not only pandemic caused, but other factors as well. So we'll start off with an introduction, and we'll talk about what those specific challenges to credit risk management are. And then we'll talk about solutions. What do we see as the solutions to those challenges? Share with you a case study, define the benefits from the solutions, wrap it up with a conclusion, and then take your questions. All right. So quickly, what is our focus for today? Well, if you've been paying attention for the last 2.5 years, you know the demands on credit management have intensified in a variety of ways. And, you know, the old peril of uncertainty and credit risk, always with us, but they've increased even more post-pandemic with the onset of inflation, increase in interest rates, and the threat of a recession. Yet, through it all, the mission of credit management remains to promote your company's revenue in accordance with their tolerance for credit risk. And promoting revenue is going to be even more important if this anticipated recession materializes and you start to see revenues decline or not increase. So it'll be a challenging environment. And let's talk specifically about what these challenges are. Well, as you've been following the news, you've seen that the reduction of government financial support as a result of the pandemic is being reduced, fading into the past. So that introduces a higher risk of bankruptcy. Companies that may have been able to survive through the pandemic with the government aid may not be able to once that government aid ceases. And, you know, this doesn't happen overnight. It unfurls, unrolls over a period of a couple of years. A recent challenge that emerged is inflation. Think of it this way. If a customer pays you 90 days beyond terms, well, that money is worth, with current inflation, about 2.5% less in real terms than if they had paid on time. You know, that's a pretty steep price to pay. You know, a few percent here, a few percent there, and you adds up to real money, to kind of paraphrase Senator Everett Dirksen. And then, of course, higher interest rates. You know, if you were borrowing before at 3%, 4%, and you're borrowing now at 5, 6, 7%, you're going to feel that. And you're going to want to minimize your borrowing. I think, you know, to amplify a risk that I've already mentioned is the workload. You know, we talk about credit risk increasing. Well, for a lot of your customers, the timetable of reviewing their credit limit annually probably not good enough anymore. Things are changing too fast. If they were dependent on government aid during the pandemic, chances are their financial condition is changing for the worse pretty quickly. So that means every 12 months to refresh the credit review is probably not adequate anymore. You may have to do it every 6 months, for some customers every 3. And what does that mean? Well, it means a higher workload for your department. You know, you could be looking at a 40, 50, 60% increase in credit investigations. So you've got additional challenges and you've got a higher workload. To complicate things a little bit more, as e-commerce has become the norm or close to the norm, you know, customers are expecting everything to move fast. You know, they place an order electronically, they get an acknowledgement electronically, they get an electronic invoice, they make a payment electronically. They don't want to wait 7, 10 days for a credit approval. They want to start fast, start receiving product fast. So there's pressure on you to meet those deadlines as well. And then the last part is the Great Resignation. Most companies have or will lose some employees in their credit department as part of the Great Resignation. People moving on for higher pay, different locations, greater work from home content for a variety of reasons. And over a period of a year or two, you will probably see the average tenure of your workforce and credit decrease. Some experienced people leave, you replace them with new employees who are on the learning curve. So it's resulting in a lower average tenure. And again, the preference is to work from home, and which kind of dictates a paperless environment. So these are some fairly significant challenges, and they're kind of all happening at once, which I'm sure this has happened before. I just can't remember when it was, tell you the truth, to have all these things, especially now with the inflation and higher interest rates. So it's some serious challenges. So at the end of the day, from our perspective, credit management needs to do more, do it faster, better, and more efficiently, and enable a work from home environment. So think about it. Do more, faster, better, more efficiently, and enable a new mode of working for your employees. That's a tall order. And the question I pose to you is, how are you positioned to meet this challenge? Well, in addition to meeting this challenge, I want to address the challenge of competition. Meeting the competition or creating a competitive advantage through rapid credit approval or credit evaluation, one way or the other. Even if you don't extend credit, at least you come back with an answer. Because remember, your competitors are experiencing the same things, the same downward pressure on revenue and probably prices, the same increase in costs from inflation. So they're trying to secure new customers as well. How can you beat them? Well, obviously the product and service you offer and the way you price it are the key determining factors. But a contributing factor is what I alluded to earlier with a fast credit vetting process. Don't make them wait. And it enables you to onboard a new customer fast and kind of preempts the competition. So if you're a supplier of steel and you get a new customer, well, that customer probably already has at least one supplier. If you react quickly and are able to do business with them, you'll be the second supplier. If someone beats you to it, chances are they may still look for a third supplier, but the volume you get from them will be pretty low. So you want to be in there fast You want to be in that number 2, maybe number 1 supplier position. And when we say fast, how fast is fast? Well, Hackett, in their world-class performance study, defines world-class performance as making a credit decision in 2 days, 2 work days, which is pretty fast. Think, are you able to meet that 2-day standard? And as I say, the ability to render a fast credit decision is one element to give you a competitive advantage. So that's where speed comes in. Same day, next day. All right. We've talked about the challenges. Now, what are the solutions? Well, there's a number of incremental solutions you can implement. Improving process, better metrics and monitoring, different things like that. But if you're looking for a long-term kind of major solution that will deliver huge increases in speed and productivity, it ultimately comes down to advanced technology. And when we talk about advanced technology, we specifically mean artificial intelligence, AI-powered digital credit. And that will enable you to deliver quality credit decisions very, very fast. So what do we mean by that? Well, I won't get into the technology a lot, but we talk about artificial intelligence, and you've probably heard these terms: cognitive, self-learning, natural language processing, enterprise information processing, which just alludes to its close integration with your ERP. And then digital assistants. What are digital assistants? Well, they're helpers. They're like robots, but only much more capable. They assist your team to do tasks and provide information to management. More importantly, they engage and assist with customers. And of course, they can do that 24/7. And equally as important, they perform repetitive tasks, also known as grunt work. And you talk about attrition. Well, if you can eliminate a lot of the grunt work and redeploy your staff to higher level problem solving, dealing with difficult customers, process improvements, etc., you'll have a more enriched job, and one which should reduce the rate of attrition. So digital assistants can make a huge contribution to your operation. The benefits, we'll be talking about this several times, but speed, onboarding new customers. For a totally manual credit vetting operation, digital assistants with artificial intelligence can automate as much as 70 to 80% of those manual tasks, which is huge. And even if your operation is semi-automated, even if you can increase productivity and reduce the quote grunt work by 30 or 40%, that's still a huge step forward, and one that will be appreciated by your employees, as well as speed things up. And ultimately, it leads to better credit decisions. So that's AI-powered digital credit, kind of an overview. Sounds good, right? This slide is a little busy, but I wanted to put some meat on the bones here when we talk about what is AI digital credit, and specifically what features, what operations it automates, what tasks it can handle on a completely or largely automated basis. So, first of all, is the credit app. No more paper credit app. It resides online. Its format is designed by you, So you can stress those factors you think are important and omit those bits of information you feel are not useful. So you can customize the credit app. It resides online. The potential customer logs on, gets the credit app, completes it, and submits it with a digital signature. And as you know, the signature is very important because your terms and conditions are on the credit app, and the customer's signature designates that they will abide by those, they accept and will abide by those terms and conditions. Whether they do or not, we all know is a different matter. But that's the credit app online. Nice. And then once you get the credit app, you know, the big job in credit vetting is gathering all the inputs from your credit bureau, whether it be DNB or Experian. You know, if it's an existing customer, retrieving the payment history, getting all those inputs in, gathering those inputs so that your credit professional can make a credit decision. Robots, RPA verification bots, they can do nice work in terms of validating their business registration. Oh yeah, we're incorporated in Colorado. Well, the bots, the RPA bots can verify that. Same thing with tax registration numbers. You've got the digital assistant at the ready to support your customers and your credit staff to secure or find information. So gathering the information is very time consuming and labor intensive. And then once you get it all together, the digital assistant can actually do the credit scoring. You input the parameters and the weighting of the different factors, and it will create a credit score. You can go a step further and you know, have the expected monthly sales volumes input, and the digital assistant can recommend a credit limit. Of course, to be approved by a credit professional, and of course there's a nice approval workflow contained in the package, and of course you just route the credit approval according to executes the order hold very closely with collections in your ERP system. And you know, in some respects, your order hold is the last line of defense to bad debt, right? If you can keep that order from going out, put pressure on the customer to pay, and keep the total AR balance down, you're in pretty good shape. And of course, it can produce credit scorecards that you design, and generally they have some pretty nice analytics pack. So you can start to get a sense for the overall credit risk inherent in your portfolio. So a lot of competition there, a lot of capability there, excuse me. And I mentioned some of these before. What are the advantages? Well, time saving, and both dimensions of time, both the work time and the elapsed time. You know, just something like securing a credit app. You know, if you have a hard copy credit app, or even if it's online and the potential customer just submits it online, you know, if it has missing elements, with AI-powered digital credit, the applicant can't submit the application. You know, it rejects it. Right? You're missing the information on lines 7 and 9. And that eliminates a lot of back and forth with customer. You get the credit app and you tell them, oh, didn't fill it out completely, need you to do that, blah, blah, blah. You know, kind of tedious, time consuming. And then the other big thing is automated gathering of information. If you think about a credit investigation, 60, 70, 80% of the work is in gathering the credit information. You know, you give all that to a credit professional, it doesn't take long for them to make a decision on whether or not to extend credit and how much. The verifying of information is critical. Certainly if someone misrepresents something on a credit app, you're going to be very concerned about that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the automated scoring and the ability to recommend a credit limit. And again, if all this today is manual, you're looking at significant savings. All right, let's look at a case study, a real-life case study of a company that utilized these capabilities in a very fast-growing, active environment. Now, they're a building materials company, which means they sell to contractors, builders, construction companies. And if you know anything about that industry, it can be charitably described as thinly capitalized, which means they ain't got no money, basically. They get paid by the general contractor on the 25th of the month, and that's when they have money. A week or two later, their cash reserves are probably depleted. So it's a high-risk customer base, but it's a customer base that needs the vendor financing. Otherwise, they won't buy from that vendor. So it's a challenging credit risk management tasks. This client had a good product, kind of a new product using a new building material. They were growing fast, and they just couldn't keep up with the credit apps. So they deployed digital credit automation from EMAGIA. And with the credit app that we described, digital signatures, the automated information retrieval and checks, they integrated it. They were using Experian as their credit bureau. And they had designed their own analytical tool in NetSuite, which enabled automatic credit limit decisions. They were able to automatically verify resale certificates, which is very important. And at the end of the day, they automated over 80% of their credit vetting process. Pretty good. And they're able to get their turnaround time on a credit app from 14 work days down to 4. Now, last I heard, they're actually pushing 3 days and hoping to get to 2 days, to the Hackett best practice. And of course, this enabled them to respond to customers, set them up, and start shipping them very, very quickly, and help to fuel their growth. So let's just kind of recap the benefits. I've been mentioning them as we go here. But, we can see significantly faster turnaround of credit apps, increased productivity when you eliminate all that manual retrieval of information. And ultimately, it positions the organization to maximize its revenue while still controlling credit risk, and enable them to onboard customers faster. And if you look at the value chain at the bottom here, I think it's a pretty typical value chain, and certainly speeding up credit apps are a part of that, contribute to that. So what's our conclusion? Remember how we started out. We talked about challenges to credit management. And really, there were 5 challenges cited on that 3rd or 4th slide. And we're all pretty serious. And some are new, some are the age-old high interest rates, inflation, that sort of thing. But I don't think it's overstating to say credit management is being severely challenged. So you need an excellent credit risk management capability. And as I said, you can probably take some incremental steps, streamlining processes, maybe buying some other information streams, things like that. But for the long-term kind of major improvement, it really comes down to technology, automation, and specifically AI-powered digitization within the credit function. All right. Questions. Here's an audience question. You know, of the various challenges cited to the credit function, which, in your opinion, are the most serious? Well, one, you know, the age-old challenge is the overall increase in credit risk in the economy. You know, if you think back to the Great Recession of 2008 and 9, I mean, technically the recession ended 2009, 2010. But, you know, bankruptcies continued at an elevated level for another 5 years before they dropped back to the pre-recession levels. So the bankruptcy and the credit risk has quite a tail, long tail. You know, the inflation and the interest rates, those, boy, if you make bad credit decisions and you get stuck with slow-paying customers, you're going to see a deterioration in the value of the money you collect. And that's simple. And, you know, if you're borrowing, you're utilizing short-term borrowing to meet your cash needs, well, that's going to be much more expensive. Probably going to double, at least double before it stops rising. So to me, those are the two of the major challenges. And then the third one, if you haven't already dealt with it, is work from home. You know, employees want to work from home, and they'll leave your company to get it. They'll not join your company if you don't have it. So that's not a huge technology challenge, but it is significant if you don't have it. And, you know, you can't snap your fingers and all of a sudden everyone can work from home. So those are the challenges. The other key challenge is, you know, we talk about artificial intelligence, its capabilities and everything. What the key capabilities it brings to credit management? Well, I would say two. One, the online credit app, and two, the auto retrieval of all the information you need to make a credit decision. I mean, that's a lot, and it can be very time consuming and laborious to get all that information. Just to let you know, the next master class in 2 weeks, entitled 2022 Trends in Integrated Invoice to Cash Automation. Again, be another good program, the 30-minute program, and we suggest you book your seat today and join us. It'll be a good one, and we thank you for your attendance today.
Thank you very much, John.